রোহিঙ্গা সংকট এবং পুনর্বাসনে করণীয় কি এই সংক্রান্তে একটি সেমিনার রাজধানীর রেডিসন ব্লুতে অনুষ্ঠিত হচ্ছে। সরাসরি যাচ্ছি সেখানে।
The Rakhine state did not take to the street. They did not demonstrate. Military did not fire a single bullet. There has been no killing, no injury in Rakhine. So from this perspective, Rakhine is quite stable. But there has been a quadrilateral alignment between Myanmar military, Arakan army, Rakhine Buddhist community, and the Rakhine political parties to create a condition in Rakhine to drive out Rohingyas in 2017. And the same alignment is still there, and that alignment is keeping the environment peaceful. But Myanmar military will have the final say in the repatriation of Rohingya refugees. And the military will not accept Rohingyas until the international actors, especially upon whose blessings the regime survived or historically has been surviving since 1962, will act, until they pressurize the regime, they will not accept the refugees. But unfortunately, the regional geopolitics or the international geopolitics that shrouds the process of Rohingya refugee repatriation, and more unfortunately, the humanity or the human right remain elusive to the international actors when it comes to Rohingyas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commodore Mohammad Abdul Razak. Now I'd like to request Major Richard Imdadul Haq, Security Analyst, former Consul and Head of Mission Myanmar. That, Mr. Imdadul Haq, you had been the head of mission of Bangladesh Consul at Sitwe. Can you give us an idea about the social environment of Rakhine State during your time of stay, and can you compare that with the current scenario?
Thank you very much. Honorable Foreign Minister, distinguished guests, and diplomats and other panelists. First of all, I want to convey my thanks to the two keynote speakers. But my question is supposed to be, I would be very happy, that's what I have not seen in specifically more in Rakhine for 4 years in my stay. I saw that people were crying. The humanity was bleeding. I rang many times the alarm bell to the international community. What is going on in Myanmar? Like this gathering today's, among the almost hundreds of diplomats in the years 1999, that what is going on. You see that some people are carrying white card and some people are carrying red card. So deeply, you see that divided society they are creating. Stop it. I asked to the UNHCR, I asked to the UN Human Rights Commission in the international forum. I saw that the people, one group of students were not allowed to be take admission. I saw that a group, as government circular is already given the instruction that Rohingyas lease, that is land, gradually they will be uprooted. No renewal will be taken place. If any case is that is taken to the court, the justice must be given in favor of the Rakhine. Whatever it is, even somebody killer will not be the punishment as a killer, but he is innocent. This was the instruction. If a case between the two Muslims, so the poor Muslim, the verdict will be given to the rich Muslim to create hatred to the rich Muslim by the poor Muslims. So what was not happening in Rakhine? International community knowing that a boy of Muslim boy, the Rohingya boy married a Rakhine girl, the boy is liable for 15 years jail, and the girl is innocent. And the boy's parents is given 10 years imprisonment. If that is a Rohingya ladies gave birth, a baby, the first day, the parents or the family is to report to the nearest law and order situation camp with 5-gallon petrol that I'm blessed with a baby. If every one day, the penalty, 1 gallon is the penalty. This all our international communities knows. The Rohingyas were bleeding, they were killed, not today, even in the year 2000, you see that, that is last 17. It's much before it is started. People knows it. But what he says, the Professor Imtiaz says, that geostrategy and geopolitics was the first priority to the international community, not the Rohingyas. The thousands of people, millions of people, if you get killed, international community will not do anything. Myanmar military knows it very well. They are now laughing. I know, very recently I have visited Myanmar. They laughed with me in Naypyidaw. They said, no, China is competing, India is competing to please make us happy. To get Naypyidaw, to get the, you see that deep sea port, to get the access, to control their own insurgency, to having that's permission to carry out the, you see that operation inside to our territory, to kill their insurgent. So they knows it. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, 9 General Wen was given sanction. The same week they visited India, including the senior general. So they knows it, what is going on. Bangladesh is having no reason actually. We are suffering, we are bleeding. We are talking, I today checked when I was coming here. Over 400 times I talked to the television. 400 times I talked to the television, only Rohingya issues. What happened? Nothing. Robert Fonia, the very prominent BBC, you see the correspondent, he said that Rohingyas are so helpless people. They are undesired, unwanted in their own homeland, and they are undesired where they have taken shelter. This is the Rohingyas' position now. It is going on. We are talking. Nothing will happen. It is Rohingyas is to now. They are to convince you, take your own course, own path. There's no other way. All by that, very smartly, the DDSI, that is Myanmar intelligence, they have created their own wings to walk inside Rohingya camps. I think we are heading for that disaster also. So thank you very much. I have seen many things. The students were crying. Last I want to, JICA was working there, my time. So 5 boys, according to their provision, if they are merit list in the 100, out of 100 they remain, they are open for the admission, anywhere. So boy from Mongdo, he was in the 10th. So nowhere, because they're not permitted to fly anywhere, to go, no permission from his own domain to go any other place. One place to another place, they cannot go. So what happened? I came to know, as I was a lonely diplomat in Situate. So through one of the, I use a translator, I call them. So I request JICA, you see that if you favor them, JICA's director, these 5 boys can get automobile training in your institution. He very happily admitted them. After 1 week, he came to me. Your Excellency, I'm sorry that I'm given ultimatum. Either I am to expel them or I am to close my workshop, that's my institution. So what will you do? He said, what can I do? If I am to close, I am to get permission from Tokyo. So I said, I got your mind. Okay, you expel them. So all the 5 boys were expelled from the schools. This was the bleeding was going on. But nobody has, JICA knows it. Japan knows it. What did Japan did for them? So other international community, they know that very recently that UN report has come out. How the UN have failed with the Rohingyas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Imdadul Haq, for sharing your experience with us. Now, Mr. Brigadier General Retired Dr. Shakhawat Hussain. Dr. Shakhawat Hussain, we know that post-February 2021, the military coup has changed the entire political dynamics of Myanmar. And recently, even BBC's investigation found a series of mass killing by Myanmar military. Do you think it has created opportunities for international communities to enforce accountability? And could it help to materialize the Rohingya repatriation?
Thank you very much. You have given ultimatum of 2 minutes. So I would like to start with the salutation, except that thank you to all of the speakers and Honorable Foreign Minister. Just one note to Dr. Delawar. Dr. Imtiaz, there was a Mayu autonomous body with 3 districts, Mangdu and all this, till 1962. And in my writing, I've always been pressing that that is the solution for the time being if Rohingyas has to live in particular place. I will not go in the past. I have talked much on the past. I've talked, many I wrote even a book. Now the asked about the opportunity. I will just give very anecdotal situation today as it is inside Myanmar. NUG is gaining bit ground, though they have not been yet recognized or sort of promised of help from the outside, except that on 25th October 2021, Jack Sullivan had a meeting with NUG, and this is very, very significant. And Jack Sullivan promised all kind of help to NUG, provided NUG follows the liberal democratic process and as well as the human right. And that includes the repatriation of not only Rohingyas but many others. And I quote what he said and who met. It was the NUG representative Dawa Langila and Zhu Mar Ong. Now, the other hand, the Chinese had a meeting with in their control with 7 insurgent group of the Northeast. I don't want to give the names because that will take time. And they had a meeting also with Tatmadaw and this 7 group. That what I am trying to say, there is a definite international movement within Myanmar, though we may call it a complicated geopolitics. Now, coming to Rohingya repatriation, well, I have not concluded yet, but I conclude as it is. Rohingya repatriation depends on 3 forces. One is the Arakan army in Rakhine, who are very much gaining strength. And somebody said, I think Commodore Aziz, Razak, if I'm not wrong, that Rakhine is very quiet because it is in control of Arakan army, who are currently in collusion with Tatmadaw, but they're not going to be as such. They are interested in compact Rakhine state. And I was given understanding while talking to some people this morning that Arakan army is softening up as far as Rohingya is concerned. They want Rohingya repatriation and they want to protect Rohingyas as Arakanese, because Arakan ultimately their aim is either they become a sovereign country, which they may not, but they will be autonomous body. These are definitely kind of opportunity which is there. But my question is Bangladesh ready to take this opportunity? And this is not going to be straightaway G2G discussion. It has to be track 2 discussion to start with, if we have to take this opportunity. And lastly, I would say, we have seen for last 4 years, it's not, no international community is going to come and resolve it, because Myanmar is hub of the future geopolitics between the BRI and as well as IPS, which is fact, and whether somebody realizes it or not. Therefore, Bangladesh has to take all kind of opportunity. Otherwise, I've earlier said 5 to 10 years, otherwise we are stuck with Rohingya. And I would request that we should look into all avenues, either officially, unofficially, to exploit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shekhawat. Now, I'd like to request Barrister Ashraful Hadi, Advocate, Supreme Court of Bangladesh. Barrister Ashraful, atrocities committed by Myanmar security forces against Rohingya people are well documented. And International Court of Justice and International Criminal Court are actively involved in this issue to provide justice against the atrocities. So can you please update us about the legal proceedings and how it could help to solve the crisis?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Foreign Minister, also, and all the dignitaries present. There are several proceedings are taking place involving Myanmar. One is in the International Court of Justice, The Hague. That was brought by the Gambia. It's known as the Gambia versus the Republic of Myanmar. In that state, the International Court of Justice has assumed preliminary jurisdiction, and there are preliminary orders have been passed by the International Court of Justice asking Myanmar to stop ethnic cleansing and take certain steps. In that regard, there is I would say, at least that is a start. Myanmar has issued internally some rules or regulations directing their officers to stop ethnic cleansing or to abuse or not to violate laws. But so far I understand it is still on the paper. Officially, they have not taken any of the steps or corrective measures against the perpetrators. That's one. The other proceedings that are taking place is International Criminal Court. They have started the prosecution of the prosecution measures have been stated. That I believe is under investigative stages. So in the 17 December, they have submitted a fourth report before the International Criminal Court. And I understand from the report is that they are taking certain steps for collecting evidences for prosecution of the perpetrators. So the proceedings in the International Criminal Court will be against individual perpetrators in Myanmar for genocide. And the proceedings in the International Court of Justice would be against the Myanmar for perpetrating genocide. Bangladesh has a particular interest in the proceedings before the International Court of Justice, the reason being that in the International Court of Justice, one of the prayers is for repatriation of the Rohingya migrants that have been forced because of being victims of genocide in Bangladesh. So I believe if the International Court of Justice proceedings are upheld in favor of Gambia, I am expecting that there will be an order directing Myanmar to allow repatriation or return of the migrants of Rohingya into Dhaka state. And I think there is another proceedings that is taking place is Argentina. And I believe that there are also scope by the different international communities to take under universal jurisdiction. For example, USA, Singapore, Japan, they can also, Belgium, they are all have universal jurisdiction under which each of those states can initiate proceedings in their own country against perpetrators of genocide in their own country. So Bangladesh can also mobilize on those aspects also to ensure a speedy return of the migrants from to Myanmar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barrister Ashraful Hadi. Now let's move on to the open forum discussion. And we have already received few names who would like to talk. And I'd like to start with Mr. Abul Hassan, former State Minister, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Government of Bangladesh. Please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much. First of all, we'd like to thank the Honorable Foreign Minister that he has taken time out for his known busy schedule. His presence, I think, makes a clear statement to the seriousness that the government attaches. We have had the benefit of two scholarly presentations by Professor Dilwar Hussain and Professor Imtiaz Ahmed, and also an array of distinguished people have spoken. I do not think there is going to be any benefit by a recital or recounting of the many of the issues raised. And I know of the time constraints, and we are also keen to listen to the Honorable Foreign Minister. I shall only briefly raise for your consideration, and particularly because our friends from the international community and the multilateral organizations are here. As we celebrate the Golden Jubilee of our independence and the 100th birth anniversary of the greatest Bengali of all times, the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, I think our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina made a very clear statement which was both gracious and pragmatic in allowing the 1.1 million refugees who were treated in a very bestial fashion, persecuted, and victims of genocide to find a safe haven in Bangladesh. She was, in effect, paying a homage to our own history in 1971. And on the pragmatic side of it, she was making a very clear and a painful statement that in order to bring peace in South Asia, we have to be tolerant. And the other thing she did is that despite all such provocations, Bangladesh has not declared Myanmar to be an adversarial state, thereby leaving a large scope, so clearly and enthusiastically steered by our Honorable Chief Guest, the Honorable Foreign Minister, as envisioned by the Prime Minister, that there should be room for accommodation. Earlier today, I was speaking to the Honorable representative of the UNDP here, that perhaps BIMSTEC, which was thought of and conceived as a body which would address economic issues and tourism, commercial issues, and not get into the vexed question, I think there is a possibility that it can be revived, and here we would expect our immediate neighbor, from whom we received magnificent support in 1971 during our liberation war, India, to play a very proactive role. As indeed we would expect that our other very great friend and development partner, China, who have a significant impact on the politics of Myanmar, can also be seen to be playing a more instrumental role. So I think what needs to be emphasized and re-emphasized, and that is the purpose of this seminar here, that it is not just merely a problem of Bangladesh. This is the biggest refugee problem, and in making a unique representation by allowing the people to come here, Bangladesh has taken a very positive stage, very pragmatic step. Now it remains to be seen how we keep the international community engaged, because this is gradually becoming a very great area, a scenario of development and of concern. So if this condition continues here, neither can we conceive of BRI going forward, nor for that matter, global attention, which needs to address other burning issues, can be refocused. So I think that the international community should really take on board that the tremendous step taken by the Bangladesh has now got to be appreciated, and the international community has also come forward to help us. My concluding remarks must be to thank Mr. Farooq, who has taken a lot of trouble organizing this seminar, and Mr. Nazirur Rahman, as well as all our distinguished guests who happen to be here to give support to a cause which is not just of Bangladesh, but to a cause of humanity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abul Hassan. Now let's hear from Sudipto Mukherjee from UNDP. And before he starts, let me tell you, audience, respected audience, that if you have any questions, you are free to ask. Thank you. Sudipto Mukherjee.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister and distinguished keynote speakers and all gathered here. Let me very quickly just tell you that my mandate as UNDP in Bangladesh is about supporting the work of Bangladesh country. Repatriation is a larger global political discussion which goes beyond my immediate mandate, but as far as we are concerned, as far as UNDP is concerned, we are working on 2, 3, 4 fronts. One is, of course, is on knowledge generation. The Honorable Minister himself was present when we actually launched the impact assessments of on the environment, on socioeconomic impacts across the districts, etc., which greatly actually provided information to the rest of the globe in terms of how Bangladesh's, that part of Bangladesh has been gravely affected by this large influx. So that's number one. Number two, that what we've been doing is actually, and that is actually helping in the keeping up the sustained advocacy on the conditions of the people in Cox's Bazar and the larger part of Bangladesh. The second one is basically working on keeping the people in the Rohingya community in some ways future ready, so that in case and as and when repatriation happens, they are in a position to get quickly back to some sort of dignified lives in terms of remaining skilled or trained, etc. The third one, and this is very important, is to minimize the impact on the host communities themselves, the rest of the residents of Cox's Bazar, how to minimize the impact on their lives, and in that way actually maintain social cohesion. And finally, what we are also trying to do is to, as long as the people there exist, along with other partners, the rest of the UN system, as well as other development partners, making sure that the whole community, not just the people within the camps, but outside the camps as well, remain safe and are able to access at least basic services. And I think this is something that the government of Bangladesh has been extremely generous about. And I think we are basically supporting Bangladesh government's leadership and under their leadership and their work to make sure that as long as people are here, they lead lives of dignity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sudipta Mukherjee. Now, Mr. Shyamul Dotto, journalist. As Professor Abdul Manan was saying about your Myanmar visit and you interviewed Aung San Suu Kyi, can you please share your experience with us?
Thank you. Actually, it was in 2015. There was international conferences going on in Yangon, and three of us, Professor Manan, I'm not seeing him here, and one journalist from Pothomalo and me was invited in Yangon to join that conference, and it was organized by an American organization called Easter Center based in Hawaii. So we had a chance to talk to Aung San Suu Kyi. Actually, it was very painful for me when I was repeatedly asking her the question on Rohingya. She never wanted to talk on this issue, and she categorically denied, and especially mentioned that not even pronouncing the name of the Rohingya, said that I will not talk on these people at all. And she was blaming even that these people are the problem of Myanmar. So that was what is her reaction. So I'm not hopeful about Aung San Suu Kyi will do something about the Rohingya people. You know that she was in Geneva to defend military junta during the case which was going on in IC. Actually, I am from south part of Bangladesh, which is adjacent to Arakan. So sometimes I claim that I have some relationship with the Arakani people also, because my grandfather has some business. There's a place called Boli Bazar, which is in Mongdu, and it was one of the places of the Arakan. Secondly, last 30 years as a journalist, I'm covering this issue from 1991, when first time the repatriation was happened at that time, when the influx also happened at that time. So, you know that we are saying, I'm just finishing within 1 minute, that international community is saying, UN is saying it's an atrocity. They are saying it's a genocide. They are saying it's ethnic cleansing. Do you think that they are doing enough after saying all these things? And secondly, what I will say, even Bangladesh, we are not doing enough. You just remember what Indira Gandhi did in 1971 when 10 million people as a refugee in India. She created a whole international community behind these things. So we have to think about that. You know that there are talking about a lot of geopolitics. Okay, geopolitics will remain. But is it a Bangladeshi problem? You know that Proshun made a film, and it's actually produced by one of our organizations called Institute of Conflict Law and Development, and we did it. And I also traveling with many places in that Rohingya refugee center. I have seen that there's people want to go, but you know that the international community is more conscious about their well-being in Bangladesh, not repatriation. That was my own feeling. That they are actually more cautious about how they will be better in Bangladesh. And they are creating a lot of condition about the repatriation process. So I don't think that this problem will be solved very shortly. As I said, we became the victim of the geopolitics. And even recent report, BBC report, what you mentioned about that, being a journalist, I'm very shocked to see. But what is the reaction of the international community? Nothing else. So I think we have to do a lot on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shyamul Dotto. Thank you. So is there any question or brief comment from the audience? Yes, please. Can you please introduce yourself briefly and then your brief comment or question?
My name is Johannes van der Klauw. I'm the representative of the UNHCR, which leads the UN response to the Rohingya crisis. Foreign Minister, we are honored with your presence here, distinguished guest. We have listened with much interest to all the expert knowledge shared here. Just to complement to what my colleague of UNDP has been saying, what can we do to make repatriation happen? We have to continue to work in Myanmar, in Rakhine State. We have agencies, UN agencies working there, but our operational space, as the former consul from Sydney has been telling us, is limited. We continue to try to deliver assistance to the population. We try to also help to reconstruct, but that is so much we can do. The real action has to be political on the global scale, but also in the regional dialogue. We try to involve ASEAN with its initiatives. But we need all these activities which have been explained, justice, the late Kofi Annan Commission on Rakhine, all these recommendations need to continue to be implemented. That's one thing. The other thing we can do is, while the Rohingya are here in Bangladesh, and they all want to return, we all want them to return. They want to return. The problem originated in Myanmar, the solution is there, but while they're here, we need to keep them focused on return by providing them which we call purposeful lives, dignified lives, and safe lives in the camps. So we need to continue to invest while they're temporarily here, and while we keep them focused on return, to be able to be educated, to be skilled, to have some livelihood activities. So that's also our contribution here in Bangladesh, with the focus on return. So if we want to introduce skills development, it's for skills to be used in Rakhine State. The education introduction of the Myanmar curriculum is a big step forward, because it's focused on continuous education in Myanmar. These are just some examples of what we can contribute. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your opinion. Any more questions from the audience? I think no more questions. So should we close the open session, open forum? Yes, I think. Thank you very much. So now it's my absolute privilege to request the Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. A.K. Abdul Momen MP, the Honorable Minister, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to say a few words. Honorable Minister.
Good afternoon. I was trying to listen to these main keynote speakers, and they made a good presentation, although I couldn't hear everything. Because of the ecosystem, I thought I'm finding some difficulty. I hope others didn't get the difficulty. So I could not, although I was trying to listen, but I didn't listen all the opinions. You see, Rohingya, this problem was created by Myanmar, and solution also lies with Myanmar. The problem started by the Myanmar military government. The Rohingya, who is known as the ethnic minority, they have been living in Burma for years. Until 1962, these Rohingya people were in the parliament, they have right to vote, and they are cabinet members from the Rohingya community. Is it okay? They have been cabinet members from the Rohingya community. But since 82, things deteriorated very badly. And now, of course, they have become stateless. This is one of the saddest stories of the world, that a large community which were once relatively wealthy have become stateless. And the military government in Myanmar, they have been running this show for years. Only for a brief period it was out of military. But even when it was out of military, the so-called democratic government of Myanmar basically followed the strategies and policies of the military government. They continued to differentiate. No wonder these in 2017 on 25th August, this large number of Rohingya people are being persecuted. And then no other country in the world came forward to rescue them. It is Sheikh Hasina, the Bangladesh Prime Minister. She has the generosity to allow these Rohingya to cross the border. And we gave them temporary shelter. Currently we have 1.1 million, and this is the 5th year now. Myanmar is not our enemy. They are a neighbor. And they agreed to take them back. Myanmar agreed to take them back. We only wanted to know whether they will ensure the safety and security. In the three instruments that we signed, Myanmar agreed to provide them safety and security. Myanmar also agreed to create conducive environment in the Rakhine state for their safe and dignified return. Unfortunately, they did not keep their words. And as a result, not a single Rohingya has gone back. This is the 5th year, not a single one has gone back. And many Western governments, our tight partners, they have been supporting us basically in the humanitarian affairs. And these countries, some of them have good relationship with Myanmar. It is unfortunate that the leaders of the Western world, the leaders of human rights, who strongly oppose genocide or ethnic cleansing, they continue to do business as usual with the military government of Myanmar. If you look at the numbers, their trade has gone up from 3.5 times to 15 times over the last 4 years. Even the European Union, which got the Nobel Prize for Peace, their member states also did good business with Myanmar. They take it as business as usual. We have the experience, this is not the new phenomenon. Even in the 70s, Rohingyas were kicked out of the country, around 200,000 of them. Even on those days, there was a military government. But through dialogue and discussion, Myanmar took them back. Even in 1992, we gave shelter to around 253,000 Rohingya minority people in Bangladesh. But through dialogue and discussion, Myanmar took 236,000 of them. They went back to their country with dignity and honor. So we have the history that Myanmar, when they are under pressure and through dialogue and discussion, they have the habit of taking them back. Even in those days, there was a military government in Myanmar, but they took them back. But on those differences, on those days, there was strong economic sanction on Myanmar, and they had no friend. So, by and large, maybe that is one reason why they agreed to take them back. But now, they're doing business as usual until the new military government. Before the coup, they've been doing, all the Western countries that are doing business as usual. Of course, China is the largest trading partner. But other friends of Bangladesh, like, I don't want to name those, but if you look at it, our friends, Western friends, they have been doing business as usual. And there is no pressure on Myanmar government to do anything else. I think Rohingya problem is not a problem of Bangladesh.